Canada's women just drew Iceland 0-0 in a friendly right before the last game of the year in Spain. What does it mean? Well, let's talk about it. Hello, guys, and welcome back to What Does It Mean? This is basically our match recap. Talk about some of the things that we saw in the game, talk about what it means. So, guys, if you knew this, we do primarily Canadian, African football content because it will be the Africans if we didn't do both. I'll let you guys know we will be doing a full window recap. We'll be covering some of the African sides as well as Canada on Thursday live here, probably around 3 p.m. Eastern, live. So, guys, mark that in your calendar since we're coming back that day. It's been a while since we've been live, so but we'll be talking about that there. But let's talk about the game and the match that happened over on Friday. We saw Canada playing to a 0-0 draw, and this was a bit of an interesting game. I think you can look at it in many different ways. If you said you were disappointed, I would understand. Also, if you said that it was maybe not what you wanted it to be, another way of saying disappointed, I would understand that as well. But let's talk about the game and kind of how it progressed. So we start off with, of course, starting lineup. We had Sabrina D'Angelo in goal, Ashley Lawrence with the armband, Julie Zadorsky, Vanessa Gilles, Jade Riviere, Simi Wujo, Julie Grosso, Marie Yasmina Du, and Janine Becky, and then Michelle Prince and Adriana Leon up top. I thought this was a 4-3-3, but this kind of morphed into a 4-4-2 with no Jade Rose, but then also no Kadisha Buchanan, who was sidelined with injury. We saw a return to the back four, which wasn't a bad thing. It was good to see Jade Riviere back here. I think, honestly, looking to this game, looking at the lineup, I remember my reaction. I think I put a post on Blue Ski as well as is it Blue Sky? Blue Ski, I don't know, and X. Effectively, this is important for Jade because with her lack of availability, she's kept that right defender, that right outside defender position open, right? And if, with that being the case, that's left the likes of Gabrielle Carl, who's taken advantage of it. That's allowed, when healthy, Sydney Collins to take advantage of it. And so I think Jade really needed a solid win. She was named player of the match on Canada soccer side. So I think she had a solid game overall. But I was very much intrigued. You got to see Marielle Do again starting. You got to see Michelle Prince playing. Now, Prince doesn't start for her squad there in KC. And this is a very interesting. Before the game, Sydney Tai, who is our U20 coach, mentioned this is a great opportunity to get some new players, some opportunities, some looks. And I think that's a point that I'm going to come back to because I think that was one of my more disappointing aspects of it, which was unfortunate. I would have loved to see it. If it's going to be a game like this, you might as well. I'm someone who always looks and says, if you're going to play a side that's going to draw you out or try to play a low block, hit you on the counter, you might as well learn something about players you don't know anything about. And I don't think we did a good enough job of exploring. A 0-0 draw isn't necessarily bad if you learn something from it. And I think what makes this game disappointing is we didn't learn too much from it. We look at the stats of this game. We're going to be using ESPN's match recap here. So, guys, just letting you know that, and that's where we'll be going. So, 0-0 stats. We had 4 shots on goal for each side, 14 attempts for Canada, 10 for Iceland. Possession was about 55, 56 for Canada, 43, 44 for Iceland. Yeah, 4 corner kicks to 3, 4 saves each, as we saw, which wasn't too bad in terms of the players. Not a very eventful first half. A few chances, but Canada just simply unable to put everything together in the final third. I think that was the one thing when you watched, you saw the struggle was they struggled getting, whether it was Michelle Prince being offsides, whether it was not able to connect the passes, whether it was an Ali Du or a Becky or a Leon, or maybe taking a shot when there was a pass available. There wasn't much cohesion in the front 3/4, however many players you saw coming. I think that was a bit of a struggle. You can say, yeah, that's what happens. We have a lot of different teams, a lot of different players, coming together, trying to form a little bit of chemistry. It's also, and should be noted, a new coach in a new window. So you have a different philosophy, more than likely. You had, yeah, You had Spence before. You had yeah, Tanitai here. It's probably why pure speculation. I would assume maybe that's why Canada's women aren't going to the She Believes Cup. Maybe prioritizing finding a coach and getting some friendlies would be the better choice than the playing a tournament, which could be good, could be bad. We'll see. But first half was very much uneventful. Sabrina D'Angelo making a few saves in the first half, but Canada just not able to look connected in the front line. Speaking of the front line, Evelyn Vienne not being there, I was really excited to see Evelyn Vienne lead the line in this window. Her not being here was a bit of a drawback. It was unfortunate. Injuries happen. But with Nichelle Prince leading the line with Adrienne Leon, it's it's a conversation with the players, and you're starting a new Olympic cycle as we're ending the year. I think it's a fair conversation to have. How long are we going to? Is the program going to stay with some of these regulars? And not to say that their time with the squad isn't worthwhile. We all know the shift that they put in, but at some point you have to start transitioning, and it feels to a different degree that, especially in Canada, it feels like we're always holding on to a generation, maybe a tad too late. Right? I always say every coach will hold on. That was one of my criticisms with Beth Priestman. She had her core, and I felt that she held on to it for one cycle too many. I felt that they had started transitioning. Maybe they have a better performance at the 23 World Cup. And in this group, you're looking at the likes of Nichelle Prince, who is coming off an injury but wasn't starting for KC. You have Deanne Rose, who is playing but isn't starting when she's in the W. Alidou starting. Janine Gauthier is getting more regular minutes. Leon getting more regular minutes. Grosso getting more regular minutes. Ujo coming off the bench. Right? Of this lineup, Riviere out with injury mostly. The back three of your back four are regular starters and getting consistent minutes in play. And if that's the case, it wouldn't hurt. I was excited to see what we could see with this game, especially with saying new faces, because it was Iceland and knowing they would probably bunker, which they did, and they started taking their chances with the counter a little bit later on. But I'm I would rather, and this is me, I would much rather see them, even if they lose, learn something. Yes, you want to go and try to win these games, but learn something. Even if it means you learn that maybe Nia or Nia Rose isn't ready for this level yet, or maybe she is. Maybe maybe could be a CDM, or maybe you want her as a CB, right? Maybe Geneva Hernandez Gray is a player that you can play in these types of situations. I think I'm a little disappointed in that aspect. But second half comes, Lucienne Pro comes in for Sabrina D'Angelo, who had a bit of a knock in the first half. She had a few unnervy moments, passing the ball off, playing it right back to an Icelandic forward who forced her into a great save. I mean, you got to get your first save somehow. I don't think that's how she drew it up, but hey, we'll take it. And then subs in the 67th minute, Jesse Fleming on, Olivia Smith on for Simi Ujo and Adrienne Leon. You saw them have a bit more composure, bringing the ball in and just attacking the space that Iceland was giving them, especially in the counter. And then Nichelle Prince coming off for Deanna Rose in the 74th minute. I think that's what I was disappointed with. You had five, possibly six subs you could have used, and you only used four of them in a game where you had, hey, go for the win, try something new. Whether it was literally, whether it was a Nia Rose, whether it was an Emma Reagan, a Clarissa Laracy who's been in good form playing that club, Geneva Hernandez Gray would have been a good call, a good shout to come into the game. I feel like this game felt like they were going for the win, and it was just felt like it was either going to come or it wasn't. But at this point, I would have rather have a nil-nil draw where, hey, you saw Nia Rose for a solid 20 minutes. You got to see Geneva Hernandez Gray maybe struggle in the midfield, but at least you got to see her and gave her a taste of action. That's something that she can build off of. Right now, you're walking into this Korea game, and I'm guessing there's going to be much rotation. I'm guessing Kaylin's going to start that game. I'm guessing maybe you go with Gabby Carl out wide instead of Jade as your back four. Midfield, you're probably going to Mujo and Jesse Fleming. And then however you want to do your attacking four, whether you go into 4-2-3-1 or you go into 4-4-2. I am curious to see what it is. But now the opportunity to see some of these players, these young players, get some moments. Maybe that goes. Maybe the game is going positively after they can try it. But this feels like this was a great opportunity. I feel for me for them to have given some of the young players, some of these new players to the squad, some opportunities to get their feet wet at the international level, and we weren't really able to do so. And it is what it is. It's a friendly, but you're going into the end of the year. I'm very much curious to see what they do versus Korea. So 0-0 is the game. Next game coming on December the 3rd. So it's going to be Tuesday. I'm very much curious to see how Sini Tai approached this, but I think for a friendly, this was a little bit disappointing. Not the result per se, but just we didn't learn anything. Even if you got the result, you would have learned, hey, someone can score a goal. But a draw that was this disjointed, this uneventful, it does scream to me that hey, you have a whole program that needs a new direction, and you have players who have been within the program for a bit who maybe it's time to start to transition out, kind of go from there. We will see. But guys, let me know what you think. What you think of the draw? What are you looking forward to versus the Korean Republic? They have drawn them the last time they played. That was in June. I was at that game in Toronto. Actually, it was a tight game. Created a very good job of taking away that space that they had to build up. It'll be interesting to see what they do now. Again, playing a back four. Does they try a four, a three at the back, and try to go a 3-4-3, a fourth, or a 3-4-2-1? Or do they try to run back the 4-4-2 to get some more solidity? That means you're leaving your center backs more on an island, or asking one of your fullbacks to sit back in the back three, or maybe asking Simi to sit back in the back three in between. We've seen that style before. We'll see. But guys, let me know what you think. And as always, I'm going to stop talking right here.